Your second stat lab assignment explores the notion of central tendency with the horizontal-vertical illusion. In this lab, you'll read some background information on the horizontal-vertical illusion, which will help you articulate a hypothesis later on in the exercise. In this lab, what you'll be doing is conducting 30 trials, and you'll have a slider here. Basically what you're doing is looking at a target bar, which is exactly 100 pixels in length, and it will either be oriented horizontally or vertically, depending on the trial. And your task is to use the slider to try and match that bar in terms of length. And the goal is to get your bar as close to the target bar as possible. So again, you'll have 30 trials. 15 will have a horizontal stimulus, 15 will have a vertical stimulus, and in each trial you use the slider to try and get as close to 100 pixels as possible. After you've completed all 30 of your trials, new windows will open up in the lab. The question section will provide you with additional information about what's expected in terms of your data, the hypothesis of your data, some information on how to calculate mean scores. There's even some, if you want to in StatLab, you can try and do the calculations yourself, but as in the first StatLab assignment, most of the work can be done in Excel. So what you want to do is go down to your trial by trial data. What you'll see here is 3 columns: the number of the trial itself, the orientation of the target bar, which was either vertical or horizontal, and then the matching line length in pixels of your slider bar, the bar that you slid the bar to get that matching length. So these are all in pixels, and of course the closer your matching line length is to 100, the more accurate your estimation was. So the next thing we want to do is to import this data into Excel. So you highlight all 3 columns and press Control-C for copy. Go into Excel and select 3 columns and press Control-V on your keyboard for paste. And it'll ask you to confirm. So now you have all 3 of your columns of data here in Excel. And the first step is that we want to sort our data just as we did in the first StatLab assignment. So we want to sort by orientation and then by length. To do that, you go to the Data tab and press the Sort key. It will ask you what you want to sort by. The first thing you want to sort by is target orientation, and then you want to add a level, and then you want to sort by matching line length from smallest to largest, and press OK. So what happens now is that you have all of your 15 horizontal trials and the corresponding matching line lengths, and then you have your 15 vertical trials and your corresponding matching line lengths. I've gone ahead and done a bit of work ahead of time to show you what you'll be doing in terms of measures of centrality and the visual representation for your homework assignment. And I've done the work through for the horizontal orientation as an illustration of how this will work. So you're familiar with frequency distributions from your first StatLab assignment, and the visual representation portion of this assignment asks you to create a frequency distribution of your horizontal trials and a frequency distribution of your vertical trials. So I'll quickly go through this again because we already covered it in the first assignment. But what I did for horizontal was I first identified my minimum and maximum score in terms of pixel length. Then I created bins that I thought were appropriate lengths for this frequency distribution, 2 pixels in length, and I went with decimal point out to a decimal point because you'll notice that the matching line length goes out to 1 decimal point. So I created my bins and then counted my frequencies, and then just did a check to make sure that my frequency count equaled the number of trials. As a quick reminder on how to create your frequency distribution, you select the data that you've created and you go to Insert, Column, and we have our bins here below, which are our pixel lengths, and then the frequency count. You can then go into the data itself and format it properly, as I showed you last week. Let's see, we'll go with solid fill and black. And let's see, for the border, we want a solid line white, and then we remove the gap width. So that is how you would create a frequency distribution for horizontal, and you would want to repeat that process again for the vertical. So I have the start of work here, but I didn't go through all of it. Just wanted to illustrate how you'll do that for the visual representation portion of your assignment. Your assignment will also ask you for an interpretation of those frequency distributions. You want to discuss the skew, possible skew of that distribution, as well as modality. For example, my mode for horizontal is this bin here, which has the most observations in it. The last part of the assignment will ask you, in terms of calculations, will ask you for the means and the medians for your horizontal and vertical data. You can quickly calculate these in Excel with some formulas. So for the mean, to calculate the mean, we go to the Data tab, let's see, actually the Formulas tab, and go to Insert Function. And the mean in Excel is referred to as average. So you want to search for average, and then double click on that, or excuse me, press OK. It will ask you for the range that you would like to calculate the mean score for. So you press this button, and you go back to your raw data and select all of your horizontal values. Press Enter, and then OK. And that will provide you with the mean score of your horizontal bars. You can also get the median from a formula in Excel. So we go back to Insert Function, and you can type in a search for median. And you can double click on that. Select your raw data again for your median, and press OK. And that will provide you with your median data. So that is all of the steps involved in terms of calculating the frequency distributions for your visual representations, and then also calculating the mean and median for the horizontal group. And then you just repeat this process for the vertical group for your paper. And then the final step of the assignment will ask you to analyze or to compare the mean horizontal value to the mean vertical value, and whether or not that those data support or do not support the hypothesis. So that's an overview of StatLab 2, or the central tendency assignment. If you have any questions, please reach out to your instructor. Thanks.